Hey, Michael Gross, hello.
Hello, nice to talk with you. Barnes, Leslie, Jimmy.
That is us.
Who did sing this song?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that.
I don't remember it being someone famous.
I thought it was like somebody
No,
like...
it was somebody famous, and
What?
next interview I'll get back to you on that.
It was like some MOR, middle-of-the-road artist. Like a Dionne Warwick. It wasn't Dionne Warwick, but somebody of that ilk.
Like Dionne Warwick, right?
Dionne Warwick, like...
If I were psychic like Dionne Warwick, I could tell you.
When was the
That's
last time you watched an episode of Family Ties?
I'm going to be honest with you. Up until last night, it had been about 6 years, but somebody reminded me that Nick at Night is now doing a Family Ties marathon.
Oh, God.
We're now officially on Nick at Night, so I watched my first episode in about maybe as many as 7 years.
Okay, which episode was it?
This was an episode in which the kids turned the house into a hotel while I was away for the weekend.
Okay.
And among other things, they brought a kangaroo in my living room.
Nice.
And Steven got very angry. So angry he could hardly speak.
Bring back a lot of good memories watching that last night?
Yes, I could. You know, it feels like the distant past now. It was 1982 when we began that show.
Well, and you know that people still see you and they say, hey, there's Steven Keaton. There's a guy from Family Ties. Yet the reality is, you have been constantly working since then. You're always popping up on something. In fact, not only are you on ER, but also aren't you on the season premiere of, is it Law and Order?
Yes, there's a new spin-off of Law and Order. Of course, Law and Order, the original one, dealt with the police and the courts. Law and Order Special Victims Unit dealt with the victim. And this new one, Law and Order Criminal Intent, deals with the mind of the criminal. So I have a really fun guest starring role as, a bit of a nut, frankly. For those of you who like the bad Michael Gross, this is an opportunity to see him.
Well, I'm very angry at those Law and Order people because they have now taken another hour out of my week because I can't miss any episode of any of the franchises. I'm so hooked to it.
They are so well written, and I can only speak for the episode I did with them, and this is a guy who commits a crime in order to impress a lady with whom he's in love. Promptly goes to the lady and says, I committed the crime, now will you love me? And she very rightly goes to the police and says, I think he's nuts. And the piece is so well written, he's a psychiatrist, he pleads not guilty by reason of insanity, and for the entire episode you don't know whether he's faking it or whether he is in fact nuts.
Michael, you're showing up on all the best shows on TV. These are all
me.
The highest, these are top shelf shows. Not a bad deal to walk into.
I'll say, and everybody couldn't have been nicer, including Mr. Wiley, who's a great young man, and so I'm proud to be his father.
Were you, because like Steven Keaton, very politically active and all that on TV, you personally?
I tend to be very outspoken. I'm one of those sort of neighborhood organizer types of people.
Right.
Who likes to gather people together and say, let's all talk about this because this is our neighborhood, that kind of thing. But I follow in my mother's footsteps like that. She was very big that way.
You keep in touch with any of your old co-stars from Family Ties?
Meredith Baxter, more often than not, and my lovely former wife, and but Mike Fox to a degree, mostly an email relationship. It was great to be involved in his final episode of Spin City in New York.
That's right.
Yeah, that was
great.
Right. I happen to be on the East Coast, and he said, let's see if we can get you on the show, and that was fun.
It had to be a very emotional night.
It was
bittersweet. Yeah, and it had to break your heart to see him. Because I'm sure between takes you could see visible signs of his Parkinson's.
To a degree, Michael was actually very much, he medicated for moments like that.
Yeah, well,
times his medication very carefully, and so, it's heartbreaking, and I don't know what it is because he is the third person I know. Who has this early onset Parkinson's? Is it something in our water? What the heck is going on?
I don't know. Well,
it's strange.
I'll tell you, I do not like reunion shows ever. I can't stand all the reunion. When the Brady Bunch, I've never liked those. But if there ever was one that I think could possibly be done interestingly, tastefully, it'd be Family Ties.
To be honest with you, our writers were so good, I tend to agree with you, but I hate to break your heart. I don't see it happening.
Because of who?
Right up at the top, there's never been any interest from the producers, hire any of the other actors to do such a thing. I just think it's let sleeping dogs lie. It's we don't want to go back to the old neighborhood. Let's remember it the way it was. All that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I
Right.
personally think you would be up there with magnifying glasses, looking at the television set, looking for my facelift scars.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Hey, you ever seen Tina Yothers' band?
I have, in fact. I saw them last year in New York. They were great.
They're not bad.
No, they're not bad at
We
all.
had them on our show. They weren't bad.
Oh, did you? Tina
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Yeah. Hey, all right, Michael. And I want you to write these two names down for your next interview. You ready?
Gotcha.
Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams.
Oh, that was
That's-
Denise
Oh,
Williams.
great. Thank you.
Okay, because that's
Yep.
going to be asked. I knew it was somebody. Johnny Mathis.
That's exactly right.
I'm impressed you found that, Jimmy.
Hey,
we
Michael,
have a
thank you very much.
Crack staff.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you kindly.
The best of the Morning X.
99X.